helping my situation, especially the kids who live in low income households. Laws can go a long way. You know what I mean? Like the kids who grow up in high income neighborhoods or really have like stability, they're fine. Like the certificate is cool to them. But the kids in low income neighborhoods, they could always use more money. So use the resources that we have and invest that into getting gift cards. Honestly, like it's small, but it shows these kids that we care about them because we're not just saying, oh, do well in school, and they're telling you where's the reward for it. I don't think like the honor society kids. That don't mean nothing to me. So
all right, so it is 1 more minute to 12 o'clock, and at 12 o'clock we're going to get started, and we'll get started with introductions. And Mrs. Danoff, would you introduce Thaddaeus for us today?
Sure. Sorry, my phone just started ringing. So I'm Mrs. Danoff. For those of you who don't know me, I teach choir. And Thaddaeus was one of my select choir kids. Crying out loud. He was one of my select choir kids all the way up and through all 4 years. Had him in drama club as well. And an absolutely wonderful, wonderful student, has always spoken his mind. And I feel like the truths that Thaddaeus puts out there are just so important for other students to hear, and also for us as educators to hear honest responses and honest reflections from students, which, you know, we don't always hear all the time. So thanks to Thaddaeus for all of that honesty. But he's wonderful, and now he's out there, and I'm sure he's going to tell you all about it, but he's out there getting his voice out and putting out his truths, and helping those people that are around him who maybe are too scared or too quiet to put their own truths out, to help them all have a voice. Which is why I thought it would be so cool to invite him here today.
So Thaddaeus is a graduate of Norristown Area High School 2017. And today he's going to take us through his journey with how he decided to begin to be an advocate for his community, and how he started in social justice. So Thaddaeus, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Danoff. I appreciate you so much. She was one of the key people along my journey in high school. It really honestly started there. I realized because I was thinking about this today, there's activism isn't always public, you know what I mean? Like there's certain activism that people don't see. And my activism started, well, the beginning. It started, I went to a performing arts camp in the summer of 2013, and that was right when the verdict for Trayvon Martin came out, when George Zimmerman was found not guilty. So I got frustrated automatically, and I ended up writing a poem called Target Practice, and I performed it at the ending ceremony of the camp, and that was kind of like my first real time where I sat down with myself and I really came at something that I saw was wrong, like a systematic system that I was like, oh, you know what, I need to speak out about this. Cool. And then from there, throughout high school, various African Americans were shot down by police. Cause I was there from 2013 to 2017. So that was I'm gonna miss some names because there was a lot. There was Mike Brown, Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray, Philando, Alton Sterling, the Charleston Nine, a whole bunch, Eric Garner, a whole bunch of people got shot down during that time. So it was in classes like Ms. Danoff's, in Young Scholars with Miss Myers, where those teachers gave me the opportunity to speak my mind. And they didn't They didn't mute me. They didn't say, "Oh, we shouldn't talk about that in school," because honestly, I was going to bring it up anyway. Like, if I was frustrated about something, I was like, "Yeah, this is wrong, clearly." And it's like, why aren't we talking about this? Because we see it, and then obviously, you had the George Floyd thing happen where literally everybody saw it. So, yeah, that's where it really started for me. Then progressing, going to Bowie State University, which is the oldest historically Black college in the state of Maryland. We were founded in 1865 in the basement of a church, and we were founded to initially teach recently freed slaves how to read and write. And in time passed, we migrated to the Bowie area, became Bowie State College in 1963, and we became Bowie State University in 1988. So there I learned, and I'm still learning. I literally just had class before this, history class actually. So there I learned the importance of knowing your subject. If you're going to advocate for something, you should know it front and back. Like, it's okay to have passion, but certain audiences aren't going to be moved by your emotionalism. It's not going to move them. Like, if they're like, people are like, they're going to applaud your passion. Wow, he's passionate, but what is he talking about? You know what I mean? So if I tell you, oh, the schools are underfunded, you see that I'm passionate. But if I tell you, oh, the school is underfunded and the basic education fund, where Pennsylvania gets a majority of their funding from, so Norristown got like $13 million. They got $13 million from the state, and that money, it didn't. They basically got the same thing. They got the same thing. 2019, 2020, and they got the same thing this year. So, and I realized that the problem was that doing my research, they have to, when they get that money, they have to pay the charter schools $13,000 per regular ed student and $34,000 per special ed student. So that student can have a regular IEP, or that could be high functioning autism. So if I explain it like that, that's showing that I have passion, but I realize that passion will push you to do the research. It'll push you to stay up late at night. It'll push you to talk to these elected officials, and really try to not just be passionate about presenting the problem, but in doing research, present alternative solutions. So when I'm meeting with elected officials, I'm not just bombarding them with, this is a problem, this is a problem. Duh, they know that. Like I'm aware that these people understand that this is an issue. So now I'm coming to you with the research that I've conducted, with actual practical solutions that should be implemented. So that's what I learned at Bowie State. During this summer, I got invited to speak at multiple rallies with the events of George Floyd and stuff like that. I got to speak at several rallies, interact with several elected officials and other local activists. I just recently started to work with the Norristown NAACP as a part of the education committee. And that's been really great. I've had the opportunity to interact with a lot of Norristown residents who've been putting in this work for years, and really like learn from them and kind of see how organizational structure works, and how the process to actually like executing something. Because the one thing about activism, I realized, it's not all about grabbing a megaphone and speaking somewhere or in front of an audience, because activism isn't a performance. I realized activism is work. And there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of meetings that goes on that people don't see, that people don't post. And I realized that it's the goal is the same. The goal is to execute. Period. Point blank. The goal is, we're strategizing, we're meeting, we're coming up with these ideas, and now it's time to execute, because the community is going to ask you, what have you done? That's great that you post your pictures on Instagram, but what have you done? What has changed? If you really want to be, and for all the students on the call, I want to encourage this, because this is a pet peeve of mine, and it gets on my nerves. So when it got on my nerves, when I almost saw activism becoming a trend, and people were just doing it because it was popular, and people were just posting their pictures like, oh, I'm woke, I'm woke, I'm woke. But then it's like, all right, when the trend is over, are you going to be committed to doing research? Are you going to be committed to meeting with that elected official? Like, is your commitment beyond your Instagram post? Or do you want to just look like an activist, or actually do you want to actually put in the work? Because it's not easy. It's not comfortable. We all got stuff going on. I'm in school, you know what I'm saying? I have multiple things, but when you're really committed to something, you will make the time, and you will push yourself to do the extra work. So I want to emphasize that for all the students on the call. If you're passionate about an issue, it's great that you're passionate, and you shouldn't be scared to express that. But when you get into activism, understand that it is work. There are times you're not going to want to sit in meetings. There are times where you're not going to want to do the research, but you have to understand and remember that your cause is the ultimate goal. And I realized that this activism it's not for me. It's not to make myself look big, or make myself look like this person that's out here trying to advocate. This activism, this work is so that I'm fighting for fair funding in Norristown School District, so that my little cousins won't have to go to the same Norristown area high school that I did. I want them to have the best resources. I want them to be able to go to Norristown and be able to go to a Methacton or a PW and look and say, okay, cool, we're all getting the same resources. I don't want them to feel ashamed. I don't want them to feel like, oh, I don't want their parents to feel like, oh, I'm going to send my kid over here because this school has better resources. That shouldn't be. Activism is for the next generation. I'm fighting so other generations behind me won't have to fight as hard as I am. And it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. It's like, all right, cool, I'm 21. I should be living my life, right? Nah. I'd rather fight for the next generation, because I was thinking about this, and I think about this often. Like, how am I going to be remembered? That's another part of activism. It's a part of your legacy. Like, when it's all said and done, like we're celebrating Black History Month, right? And we're celebrating all these legendary figures and stuff like that. One thing that all these figures had in common, they all went to sleep. They all died. And their goal and their work, we remember their work. That's why we talk about Martin Luther King. That's why we talk about Thurgood Marshall. That's why we talk about Rosa Parks. That's why we talk about John Lewis, because they were committed to something that was bigger than themselves, and that's how they were remembered. What are you going to do with your 24 hours in a day? Are you going to use it to promote yourself? Are you going to use it to try to be famous? Or are you going to use it to try to become somebody? Or are you going to use it to help somebody else? Are you going to use it to help the next generation? What are you doing with the time that you have? Because as I get older, I realize as I get older, my time is decreasing. So I have to be committed to doing a work and leaving a legacy for the next generation to follow. So when I leave and when I go to sleep, the next generation can say, all right, I'm going to a school that's funded properly because Thaddaeus fought for me to go to a school that was funded properly. So that's really it. Shout out to all the students here on the call. Thank you. Thank you.
Woo. So we're going to give you a little break now, and we're going to introduce Jody-Ann Campbell, another Norristown, proud Norristown. And Jody-Ann, what we're asking is, tell us about your journey and how you began to do this work.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Black History Month. This is an exciting time. So for me, I'm actually an immigrant. I came here from Jamaica. I came here when I was 14 years old, a couple days before freshman year of high school. And in high school, I participated in choir. Well, I'm just going to name the programs that really made me into the person that I am today. The first one being choir. In choir, I really found confidence to stand up in front of people and to really speak my mind. And actually, I think when we needed funding for certain things and going down to school board meetings, that was really where I started technically activism and fighting for what is important to me. And so choir was basically the foundation of everything. And from choir, I joined the Young Scholars Mentorship Program, which really gave me the opportunity to lead and to organize events. And I also did JROTC for like a year in high school, and that taught me how how impactful leadership can be and how important it is um, in a group setting. And from there, I went on to Lincoln University, where I was the president of my class for 2 years. I was the freshman class president and the sophomore class president. And Lincoln University is the first degree granting historically black college in America. And it's in Pennsylvania. It's not far from Norristown. It's like an hour, so it's not that far. I was a student senate representative for 2 years. um, I also did choir at Lincoln. That was an amazing experience, and choir in high school really prepared me for that experience. And I do a lot in the community. I do voter registration. I go to marches, and I do different things. But it all started with, I think you have to really find your voice and be confident in yourself, and that really started with Mrs. Danoff. I know she's on the call, but that's where that started, because even in choir, when we would do solos, sorry, and she would ask me if I was nervous, I would say no, even though I was, because I didn't want to disappoint her. So even performing while nervous really helped me to build my confidence, and I'm just really grateful for that experience. And I did choir for 4 years. Um, and I say you have to really know what you're passionate about. Um, because if you're not passionate about something, then you won't follow through with it. Um, yeah, and just work hard. Hard work pays off, and just get involved, network with people. I love networking with people. Yeah, that's all I have.
Jody-Ann and Thad, it sounds like you guys have begun to start working together. How did that come about?
We kind of always did that. Like, oh, you go ahead, Jody. You can explain it better than I can.
No problem. So me and Thaddeus actually we met in choir. Well, yeah, we did choir for 4 years also. So we knew each other in choir, and then we also did the Young Scholars Mentorship Program. And the Young Scholars, we kept in touch and we do activism together. So that's basically how we keep in touch. And now we're in the NAACP Youth Coalition Council, and we did a march on Martin Luther King Day.
What are some things that you guys have that are coming up? Some marches, some rallies that you're doing, or what are you doing or looking at doing in the future?
So the NAACP, the Education Committee, we're actually doing all 4 weeks. We're doing something different for Black History Month. So this week we highlighted it was a presentation that Mr. Drill put together. This is like back in like 2012, and it has some of the elderly people in the community kind of like talk about like their journey and how at the time it was 2012, like how they saw like the election of Barack Obama and different things. And so we're honoring our seniors in our community this week. Next week, we're going to give people a virtual tour of a website called the Equal Justice Initiative that was founded by Brian Stevenson. Brian Stevenson is a very great guy. EJI, they do a lot. They got a lot of people off of life sentences, so they're really passionate about making sure that the criminal justice system is really being fair to all people. So the website is super powerful. It takes you from slavery to the time of lynching and stuff like that, and it brings you up to modern day mass incarceration. One of Brian Stevens's main points is like you can't understand where we are now unless you understand history, and the website really makes you confront the dark history of slavery, of lynching. It's not good to look at, but you can't understand how did this system get this way unless you go back and you understand how the system started. So that's what we're doing that next week. I'm really excited about that. And then the following week, we're actually honoring and recognizing African American educators in the district. That's extremely important. We need a lot more African American educators in the district. So we're highlighting all the African American educators in the district that third week of February. And then the final week is Gen Z week, my generation. I'm excited about that because they've already stepped up and assumed leadership in so many different ways. So that week we're highlighting the accomplishments of Gen Z and showing people that we are young, but we are stepping up and assuming leadership and essentially taking the torch from the generation that passed it to us. And that week will conclude with a community conversation moderated by myself and a few other panelists, and we'll be talking about just various topics and talking about it from the Gen Z point of view. You know what I mean? Because we've been through a lot. We've seen a lot. You know, like it's more than just George Floyd. Like we've seen Trayvon, we've seen Eric Garner, we've seen so many things happen. And I know that our generation has a lot to say about it. The world knew it. Like a lot of the protests, a lot of the marching and stuff that was organized by people in Gen Z. And I realized like people in Gen Z is born from like 97 to like 2010. So all of y'all, shout out to, like I said, shout out to all the students on the call. Y'all are a part of Gen Z. Y'all are a part of this. So I'm inviting you all out. I'll give Ms. Dunson or Ms. Danoff the info. So you guys can be a part of that conversation because like it's not, like I said, it's not all about one person. It's not all about one organization. It's about us all as a generation really pushing toward a positive change. So that's what we're doing.
Jody-Ann and Thad, before I open it up for questions, and the questions will be put in the chat if anybody has any questions. As a student, what is one step, if I want to be involved in this work as a student, what's the first step that I would need to do?
You got it, Jody.
The first step, I guess it would depend on what you're passionate about, because some people are passionate about health, some people are passionate about prison reform, some people are passionate about tutoring. So it depends on there are different ways in order to get involved, especially if you want to get involved with, for example, feeding people. There are a lot of food cupboards you can volunteer at. So I guess it's kind of hard to explain the beginning because it depends on where you want to go. But I guess to start would I would say what you're passionate about, and if anybody has any questions in order where to go from there, then I would give you advice in regards to that.
I'll also say look for organizations within the school. You know, the high school has the Black Student Union, UNIDAD, different organizations that are passionate about different things. So I would say Young Scholars, Gear Up, like there's organizations that are address different things. So I would say look for the organizations and how you can get involved within your school.
All right, we're open up for questions. Anybody have any questions, please put it in the chat.
I'm sorry, this is Carmina Taylor. Is it silent or am I missing some people speaking?
Can you hear right now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Were you able to hear Thaddeus
I heard the
and
speakers.
Jody-Ann?
You opened the floor for questions. So
Oh,
are people
yes.
am I missing the questions?
Oh no,
No.
it was silent. It was silent.
Some people are typing some questions in the chat, and the first question I see is, what are the advantages of attending an HBCU?
Oh, that's
That is a beautiful question. Great question. I would love to answer. All right. So the advantages of attending HBCU is that you get people who look like you and who care about you. It's really family. Like once I stepped on Bowie State's campus, that's family. Like y'all gonna have you can save stuff for next week. You're right. Oh, but like you know what I'm saying? Like those people really care about you, not just like your academic like achievement, but also like if you need anything as far as financial or if you need like a job recommendation or something like that, like it's family and it's the hub for Black excellence. Like you're around like the students who want to actually achieve, like who actually want to do things. It's like I'm cool with like people who want to be accountants, and one of my friends is like the leader of the Young Democrats in the state of Maryland. Like, and I'm cool with people who want to be nurses and lawyers, and this is like I'm around like people who are achieving, and when you're around people like that, it pushes you to go harder and it pushes you to continue to climb. So I would say one of the advantages of an HBCU is the family aspect of it. They really welcome you, and it really feels like home.
Jody-Ann?
Yes, I definitely agree with everything that Thaddeus said. And I feel like some people think that, oh, when you go to an HBCU, it's just all the same people. And it's not the case, because um like, for example, at my institution, we have Caribbeans, Africans, we have Black people from all over the place. So we have different cultures. So when people are like, oh, I don't want to go to HBCU because I don't want like to see the same thing every day, it's not the same thing. So that's one thing that I wanted to just highlight, that it's really to give me different cultures and different experiences. There's so many different countries in Africa alone. um, and they all come to Lincoln and other HBCUs. And one thing that I really appreciate about historical Black colleges is that it really it lets you know like your place in America, and like it gives you a reality check. Because I remember in African American experience, my teacher was telling me that some graduates, like a couple decades ago, some graduates from PWI didn't understand why they weren't getting jobs compared to their white counterparts, and they were committing suicide. Whereas if you went to an HBCU, you would know about racism and all that kind of stuff. So it just really gives you perspective, and it strengthens you as an individual, as a Black woman or African American woman and man. And yeah, I just really appreciate the experience. It's really family, literally family. Like, I know at Lincoln we have a big group chat where, like, if I need something, I can just put in a group chat. Does anybody have noodles? Does anybody have a comb? Like, it's really a family. Like, we have sisters and brothers. It's really a big family. That's not even a joke. Like, it's literally a family.
Miss Jody, can I just say something about an HBCU as a parent and a child from? Never mind, I won't.
Please, please, please.
So everybody that's a student on here, one of the things that I think is so important when I think about whether you're Latino and whether you're Black in the school systems in Montgomery County, it's important to go to an HBCU so you have a different element of acceptance and to get out of this immediate area and to explore a sense of mentorship. I think that's the other thing. When you think about the professors in HBCUs, they know your name. You know, the people on campus treat, like they said, treat you like family, but it's a more intimate experience. And I think growing up in Montgomery County, when you go to an HBCU, you get to see a different way of way others have lived. And as a parent, I felt it was important for my son that left Wissahickon to go to Lincoln. And he became the only person in Penn Land that joined a Greek fraternity. And he has an extended, and he knows who he is as a Black person. I think that was one of the things that was really significant for my son leaving Wissahickon. He knew who he was as a Black man and was very confident in the support system that he was given at Lincoln to go out into this world and be confident within himself. And he had a great support system. So I encourage all students in Montgomery County that are of color to explore HBCUs for the type of hands-on family touch, family care that you can't get anywhere else. So I just want to
I
say
literally have my history professor on speed dial. Like that's like no joke.
exactly. They know your
Like I
name.
literally have him on speed dial.
Absolutely, Thaddeus.
I text him.
Absolutely.
I text him at like 9:30, like last night. I was like, "Can you explain the talented tenth concept to me?" And he like literally like hit me back like 15 minutes later, like with the entire concept. I'm like, "Thank
Absolutely.
you." Like, it's
Absolutely.
that connection. Like, they don't look at you as a student.
Absolutely.
Like that's like my legitimate mentor. I can text them, call them, and like they're really
Absolutely.
there for you.
And he'll stay connected to you after you leave Bowie State. That's the other thing, is that you have a
Yep.
relationship and that they care. And it's a type of nurturing that you just don't get. And not saying anything about Norristown. I'm just saying that the environment that we live in Montgomery County as a whole. So, because I know the faculty and staff at Norristown are stellar. You guys are awesome. But in terms of growth and where to go after high school, and I encourage people. I mean, I love Lincoln. I treated my son like it was a 4-hour school. His freshman year, I didn't let him come home until at Thanksgiving break because I wanted him to know that he just couldn't come home on the weekend. So it's just a great experience to get outside of Montgomery County.
I have a question. So it makes some sense, but I missed some of the first half of the meeting. Can someone like explain a little bit what I missed?
I will just explain that you missed Thaddeus and Jody-Ann kind of talking about their journey from when they were in high school and how they got started, you know, how they got started in the work that they're doing for the community. So that's what you missed earlier, but it's being recorded, so you should be able to hear it a little later.
All right.
There's another question in the chat that said, how did you decide to attend an HBCU rather than a normal college, and what pushed you to make that decision?
You got it, Jody.
Okay, so for me, I decided to attend Lincoln University first because I got a full scholarship. That's first. But second, because I actually applied to Princeton University my senior year of high school, and I got deferred. And then I overheard like people talking, because I wasn't the only one that applied to Princeton, but I overheard like some white, like my white peers speaking about the only reason why some of us would get in is because we were Black. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I kept hearing that, like when I would go to work and I would work with different cultures of people, and they were like, because we were all the same age in my workplace, everybody was applying to college, and they were like, oh, I didn't get in because they wanted to admit minority people above me. And I'm just like, this is real. Like, people really think that that Black people don't deserve to be at PWIs or predominantly white institutions. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to historical Black college, and when I come out, I'm gonna be way better than you, and like you're gonna. So I did it kind of like to be well, not to be smart, but it's kind of like I didn't want to go to a PWI and have people asking me, "Oh, you're only here because you're Black," and I understand that that's the what is it called? The imposter syndrome, and Black people at predominantly white institutions in America, like especially the top institutions, they experience that a lot. And it's kind of like I didn't want to go through that. I wanted to know that if I'm gonna be at the top, I'm gonna be at the top because I work hard and not because of the color of my skin, or people think it's because of the color of my skin. And I'm a historically Black college. That's the case. Like nobody's gonna tell me that, oh, you're the class president because you're Black. Everybody's Black. So it's like, yeah.
What can you define an HBCU? Because I know you said that thing a couple times.
Historically, it's a historically Black college or university. So
All right.
so it was established when white institutions wouldn't let Black people into college.
All right.
There you go. There's another question in the chat. It says, what is the best way to use your platform if you have one to help grow awareness to any problems in the community? Because I know that some people want to say something or do something, but don't know how.
I would say start small. Start on social media. Social media is like the biggest thing. Like most of us are on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or whatever, you name it. Like if you want to say something, you can start there. Make little TikTok videos about like how you feel about systemic racism, or if it's just like whatever issue that you're passionate about. You start on TikTok, you start on Instagram. You can start your own podcast. Like technology has provided a way for people to have a platform, and don't be so concerned about like, oh, who's gonna listen. It's like, no, you put it out there and people are going to listen. You know what I mean? Like if it's something that you're passionate about, you're gonna put time in to make it good. You know what I mean? So I would just say use your social media, start educating your friends, your little cousins, your family members. Like start there and watch that grow.
Anyone else with questions? Oh, Jody-Ann, go ahead.
I was just saying I agree.
Oh, Miss Dunstan.
Yes.
Miss Danoff put a question in the chat.
Oh.
If you scroll up a little bit.
Oh, if someone is afraid to speak out, what are some smaller ways to get involved until they build confidence to be louder?
You got it. So you can always just start out as a member of something. Maybe like for example at Norristown, you can always like join a club or join the choir, and you know you don't have to. For me, standing out would be like doing solos. You can always, there are different ways you can like just be a member or just be a part of a collective that is doing a bigger thing. And then, you know, eventually when you get confidence, you can go out for the like run for the offices for the clubs and stuff, and maybe like go up. But I would start as being a member and just like helping out in that way.
Don't be afraid to start small. Like at all. Like a lot of the major voices that you hear, they were virtually unknown, small voices, like so to speak. You know what I mean? Talking in their classrooms, talking in their churches, talking in their youth groups. So don't be afraid to start small. It's not about how small you start. It's about you being consistent and you building your voice.
Yes.
Anyone else with questions?
Miss Collison just put some in the chat.
Okay. With the experience you have now, what do you wish you might have known earlier as a high school student? And what do you wish your white or non-Black peers knew? For instance, even terms like PWI and HBCU might have been unfamiliar to some of your peers in high school.
Yes, I definitely understand that part because PWI and HBCU, it wasn't a familiar term to me because I came from Jamaica and is predominantly Black. So when I came to America, I didn't learn of HBCUs and PWIs until like my senior year of high school when Lincoln actually came to the college fair. That's when I actually learned about HBCUs and PWIs. So but do I wish I knew something earlier in high school? Honestly, I can't think of anything that I wish I knew earlier. If I'm honest, I kind of think about a lot of things before I do it. Like I planned out like a lot of things that I did, so I didn't really have any regrets or thing that I wish I knew.
I would say for me, I think I wish I knew the importance of, as a high school student, the importance of discipline, like actually like knowing what you're talking about, the importance of research, rather. That's a better way to say it. The importance of like research when it comes to speaking out and making your voice heard, because you can't just, like I said earlier, you can't just be driven off of straight emotionalism. People need facts. People need research. So I would say I wish I would have knew the importance of that in connection to passion, because you need both of them work in concert. Both of them, you need both of them in order to really be the voice that people actually are going to listen to.
Anyone else with questions? So I want to kind of wrap some things up. What I heard you say today was that it's not always comfortable. It takes commitment. You must be passionate about things. You do this work because you fight for the next generation. It's not for you. It's a sacrifice. It's always ongoing work. You have to do your research and know your subject matter. Just some things that I wrote down as you were speaking. But you too, the information that you gave us, the way in which you speak, is almost as if you are well beyond your years and age. The wise counsel that you're giving to students are also heard by us as adults, right? So you're not just speaking to students, you're speaking to us as adults, and we're getting it. And we are so appreciative and so Norristown proud of your work. And we applaud you and we thank you. You make us Norristown proud.
Thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate y'all too.
Yes.
Like
We're nothing without you guys.
No, seriously. Like a lot of this work that you see us do, was like having administrators and teachers like you guys that didn't mute us. Like, I can't say that enough. Like, y'all didn't discourage us. Y'all didn't say, shh, no, we can't talk about that in school. Like, you actually pushed it and you actually encouraged it, gave us the confidence. Now I'm not scared to speak in front of anybody, because it started in Miss Danoff's classroom. It started in Young Scholars with Miss Myers. Like, that's where it started, where people, I was like, nobody really knew me like that. I was just a kid who loved to talk and who loved to talk about social justice issues. And I had teachers who didn't say, Thaddeus, you're talking too much, shut up about it. They actually encouraged it and had uh we encouraged those discussions. I also wanted to say, I forgot to mention this in my intro. Mr. Doyle was like extremely instrumental in that process. I did a video in 2017 called Am I Next? And it was basically highlighted like the police brutality that was going on in the country as well. So I had to make sure that I personally thanked him, especially like as a communication major. That really like showed me, oh, I can also use my skills as a editor and creating content. I could also do that as well to push out what I want to say and communicate on my passion for certain issues. So I wanted to say that as well.
I want to tell you guys a little bit about what else we have to come on the next 3 Wednesdays in February. Next week, Ms. Mitchell will be leading a conversation about historically Black colleges and universities. And Thaddeus is one of the people who will be on that panel. Ms. Mitchell, do you want to give us a little teaser about what you're going to do?
You know I do. So we have Mr. Thaddaeus Peay coming. We also have Mina Muhammad, which I believe is the class of 2017. She's a music major. So Thaddeus was my student. Amina was my student. So they have some background stories to share about their experience in high school and college. And lastly, we have our school board president, Mr. Shay Ash, who will be speaking. And he attended Norfolk State University. So the three of them will share their experiences and extend their conversation about what it's like to be at an HBCU. And I also graduated from Lincoln University, so I'll share my experiences as well. You know.
So that will be February 10th at 12 o'clock. Now on February 17th, at 12 o'clock, we have a career awareness. Ms. Sandel, will you tell us what we're doing or what you have planned for us on that day? She may be off right now, but she's going to have people from the community come in and talk about their businesses and kind of walk us through what they're doing. I know there's a DJ, a local DJ, who's going to kind of walk us through what he's doing and kind of show us, you know, what it's like to DJ music as well. So, and then on the 24th, we're going to have a session with students to really kind of talk about what you've done in synchronous time with Black History Month, asynchronous time, what worked and what didn't work. So a larger conversation just really about some of the things that we've covered this month. Dr. McGriff?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing today? First and foremost, another round of applause for Thaddeus and Jody. They did a great job of going ahead and really giving us some great information. And so the reality is when, I don't know about you, but I feel inspired. You know what I mean? Like, I am fired up. And if you are moved by the words and like the energy and the passion that you saw today, then I want to get ready to introduce you to someone else that can also help you to cultivate your own leadership. Her name is Carmina Taylor, and she is going to get ready to tell you a little bit about a program that's going on in all of Montgomery County, in which Norristown students are also participants. Known, we just say it's short for ambassadors. But I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself and tell you a little bit about the program and even give a couple, details from there. Carmina.
Okay, I'm gonna put myself on video because I want you to know there is a person that's well dressed for today, not just in my pajamas. Good afternoon, everybody. I really wanted. I'm inspired by Jody and Thaddeus, and my heart is out to both of you because you're a very good representation of the value and the investment of HBCUs back into your community. But I'm here, Norristown students, to offer you guys an opportunity to be a part of the Student Ambassadors program that we are doing with Cheltenham, North Penn, and Upper Dublin. And the focus is on cultural proficiency and race and equity. And we are focused on really, at the end of the day, developing you guys to be social justice warriors. And we have an upcoming project that we want you guys to be involved in. Now, Emily, are you on this call? I thought I saw your name. Emily, are you here? Unmute yourself. Emily? Is Emily here?
I saw her name earlier.
I thought she was. Well, anyway, so the whole purpose is for you guys to get connected with other students about the same thing. And one of the projects that we're doing, we've asked the Norristown students to think about what is one thing in the policy or the way that life is at Norristown that you want to improve or reform as it relates to social justice, either an action, a call for action, or a call for justice. And we want you to be a part of this process because we ultimately want to give you more and more exposure while you're in high school to the breadth of experiences that you can learn about in terms of cultural proficiency and social justice, and making sure that you have the skill sets to be ambassadors in your school system and advocate for your peers and advocate for the big things that you want to see change in Norristown. So I wanted this opportunity to reach out to a handful of you. Emily participated in our last student session. We meet now every third Thursday at 6:30 p.m. because we knew with some people being in school virtually, some people being hybrid or in person and having some activities after school, I don't know if they're still going on, that we wanted to have one day a month where you guys can convene with other students and we can start our programming. So, somebody was calling me, sorry. So I'm here basically to generate interest from you guys. You guys are one of the school districts that have predominantly Black and brown children, and we want to give Norristown the opportunity to represent. I think you guys have a lot to offer in terms of your voices, your experiences, engaging with students where their school district demographic doesn't look like Norristown's. So I wanted to personally reach out, and I want to thank Mr. McGriff, Dr. McGriff, and Jody for giving me this opportunity. But I'm the type of person that I like to hear from people. So I need somebody to tell me that they're interested. I don't know how to work the chat box on this thing because I didn't see anything in the chat box. But I need a handful of people on this call that are either freshmen to high school. Well, is Norristown 10 through 12 or 9
through 12?
9 through 12.
I've got it all confused. So I need some of you guys to step up. I'm sorry. I need you guys to step up and join up because I want to give you guys an opportunity to represent Norristown in the best kind of way. So if there's anybody on this call that is already in the Student Ambassadors program, we need some more representation from Norristown. And I need some people to work with Emily to put together a presentation. Now, she had communicated at our last student session that she wanted to talk about the student experience in the Latinx community at Norristown. But I think that if we can get some volunteers to put a presentation together, we can do another call and work it out and prepare. The presentation would be due. I'm sorry.
I'm listening. No, I'm listening. I think one of the things right there is, with we have members, we have people that have probably connected with the ambassadors before, and then we have some students that aren't aware of the ambassadors at all. I would say at a minimum, anyone that is interested, or just wants to go ahead and reaffirm, please just send me a courtesy email, just letting me know, and then I will get you the information about the program as a whole. because I don't want us to go ahead and speak, and we don't have the person that was at the last session to really go into a lot of detail. But
I'm sorry.
No worries, Miss Taylor, no worries. However, I will say this. You see, the one thing that's common, if nothing else, passion. Like when you are passionate about this work, it just takes you over. You know what I mean? When you are ready to change, I know you're passionate about Norristown, and that's why I am sitting here with a smile on my face and joy in my heart as we go ahead and talk to these young people. Okay. All right. So Ms. Taylor,
I see that Miss Jody put my email address. Dr. McGriff, I'm not afraid to call Dr. McGriff after.
No, she's not. No.
So I'm not, and I do it, and I'm sorry, but I apologize afterwards. But when I gotta talk to him, I gotta talk to him. Yes. So I'm gonna get off this call. God bless you, Jody. God bless you, Thaddeus. God bless all the educators on this call and administrators and all of you Norristown students. You have something to offer Montgomery County that other school districts don't. And it's your diversity and your backgrounds that separates you from everyone else. And you have a partner and an ally in myself with you. I'm out. I'll call you tomorrow, Dr. McGriff.
Oh, yeah. We're ready.
So
I might call you this afternoon. Jody,
I'm sure you will.
This afternoon.
Okay.
I got my phone right here.
All right. Thank you, Miss Jody.
Bye.
You. I'll see you
later. Take care, Miss Taylor.
Now, I did put Ms. Taylor's email address in the chat if you want to copy that, and Dr. McGriff's in the chat too. Take out the comma and put a dot, nasd.k12.pa.us, typo. Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thaddeus, Jody-Ann, members of the Cultural Proficiency team, if you wouldn't mind staying on for just a bit. Everyone else, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day. We'll see you next Wednesday, same time.
Care. All right. Awesome. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Appreciate y'all students for jumping on.
Thank you.
Take care.